Welcome, Dr. Siddig.
I'm currently practicing as a neurologist.
Can you tell us briefly about how your journey has been so far?
It's been 15 plus years.
I've seen that you've done social media, you have been on TikTok, YouTube for a really long time now.
When I moved here, kind of like TikTok at that time, it was 2021, so TikTok was a trend at that time.
What made you choose specifically neurology?
There's lots of options, and I found neurology the most interesting subspecialty. And my perfectionist side, I wanted to know everything, so it took me a little longer to finish the USMLE step 1.
So what was your inspiration back then?
My mentality always is try to see where is the best.
We have a special guest today with us. Is there a culture of doing USMLE?
USMLE is very normal.
કેવી રીતે કોઈ માણસ આજના ટાઈમમાં અમદાવાદ જેવા સિટીમાં પોતાને એસ્ટાબ્લિશ કરે? Getting into MBBS, how did your life change? Welcome, Dr. Siddig. Thank you for your time. It's a pleasure to see you after so long. And I know you have been having a busy schedule, but the life is. We want to hear more from you, how your life is as an attending now. So we have Dr. Siddig here with us. He was a final year resident when I was starting out. I've known him for around 2 years now, and I will let him introduce himself. So Dr. Siddig, if you could introduce yourself.
Sure, yeah, it's a pleasure to be on the podcast. Very excited. So I always find it difficult to introduce myself and from where to start, but I'm currently practicing as a neurologist here in Wisconsin. I did my residency in Sudan state in New York, and I have been I graduated this year 3 months ago. Yeah, I'm originally from Sudan. I moved here in 2021, and I've been here since that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty interesting. But now, before we go into all this Sudan and your journey, it's really inspiring for a lot of people out there. Can you tell us briefly about how your journey has been so far? You've spent around 4 years here. You did your med school back there, and now you're living the attending life. So how have things been for you?
I mean, it's been a long journey for sure. Since the day I started med school, it's been 15 plus years. So it's been a long journey. But I think in terms of I had to take it step by step, from doing my med school in Sudan, and then decided to come here to do USMLE, and then decide to move here. It's been a long journey and been very interesting. Yeah.
We are gonna dive deep into it as we move forward. But the interesting aspect about your journey has been that I've seen that you've done social media, you have been on TikTok, YouTube for a really long time now. I think it was before you even came here. So what got you into it? You were a doctor and then you started doing this. So what was your inspiration back then?
Yeah, I mean, I started I think that I posted my first YouTube video is back in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. So at that time I was into Photoshop and Adobe stuff programs, and I was watching a lot of tutorials, and I was oh, maybe I should also do my own tutorials instead of watching tutorials. So I did a couple of I had a series about learning teaching Photoshop, and then after a while I shifted into doing more of a medical content, educational, health education videos. Those were in Arabic at that time. And when I moved here, kind of like TikTok at that time. It was like 2021, so TikTok was a trend at that time. So it kind of like became like an outlet for me, like with the residency to kind of like just do like a fun stuff on the side. And I feel like now I'm like taking it more seriously, like yeah, to some extent. So now doing like more comedy, like medical comedy stuff, like on TikTok, which is fun.
Yeah, it's super funny actually. I do follow you and we'll share all your links below. But now the question is, what got you into these photoshops in the first place? Like, what about medical school, neurology? Where did all this fall into your lap?
Yeah, it's. I mean the reason like I downloaded Photoshop in the first place at that time I was like that was like in 2009, so it's been a long time. At that time, like the forums, like the forums were very popular. There was no social medias at that time, so there were forums like for people to discuss stuff, like dive into different stuff. So people have like a design, like a footer under their name. I was like, oh, how do they do that? And then I downloaded Photoshop, and then I learned how to do it, and I found it fun. So from that time, like I been like doing Photoshop. Like I even like worked as a kind of like a full time in summer back in Sudan as a graphic designer.
That's crazy.
So that's all like during med school. It just like was a side thing I was doing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And how are those things helping you right now?
I think in terms of like directly in terms of my job as a neurologist, maybe not necessarily. But in terms of like social media is definitely is helping a lot to know like what is good and what is not, and also know how to kind of like stand out like quality wise. Like if you compare my videos compared to other videos you see on TikTok, I try to have it like a higher quality so it can stand out in terms of not just like the quality of the video itself, but the quality of the content, like writing the script and all of that. So it kind of like having some experience in Photoshop, in like video editing, in like art, it helps you like kind of, your content to stand out. I think that is to some extent like how it plays a role in my life now.
I think it makes a lot of sense because of the way you've blown up onto TikTok. You're definitely doing something good. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But as we dive deep into your USMLE journey, because that is what we want to inspire people about, but we are going to bring this conversation back into it as well. So, how did you start thinking about that now you want to go to the US? How did you come to that decision while you were doing med school? Were there a lot of people who were doing it back home, or was it like a new thing for you guys?
There's definitely some of our seniors who did USMLE. I think initially when I started med school, I wasn't really thinking about like doing USMLE, maybe until like probably like the final year, and I was like, what should I do like after I finished my med school? And my mentality always is try to see what is the best next step.
Okay.
So I searched online. I asked my senior and stuff. So like people always say like the best, like you get the best training in the United States, and kind of like a challenge for me. So I pursued that options, and I think it was the best option for sure. So this is how like kind of like I decided.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of like the number of people who make it from Sudan to here, like how many people are applying for USMLE and how many people make it?
Yeah, I think the numbers are compared to like the whole like medical students in Sudan. The number is very, very low. Probably like, I think under 100 people match every year. That may sound like not a small number, but when you compare like just in one med school, there is like 300 plus graduates and there's probably like 20 like med school in Sudan or plus. So the number compared to the percentage is probably like less than 1% like who match every year. And I think that has to do a lot with like the financial aspect of it. Like most people who pursue USMLEs come from like a wealthier families. And it is also like if you are coming from a wealthy family, maybe you don't want to work that hard. You just go to the UK or Ireland or like the easier options. So like the decision to do USMLE is not an easy decision. So the number is very low. And also the other thing is that I think is like the visa issues and stuff. Like Sudan doesn't have like the greatest, like, you know, some people want to come and then they get rejection. Then like you can't do anything about that. Yeah.
But that's crazy. I see how luck also plays a huge factor into what you want to do. Like so many people might be working as hard as they can, but I mean it's a lot more than just us. I think it's a whole lot of a big picture into play. And
like even people like I heard some stories like people like even after they finish like everything and they match and they still couldn't make it because of visa issues. So it's a risk you have to take.
Yeah, it's crazy. So what made you choose specifically neurology? Like did you have a thought about this during your med school, or did this Photoshop thing get into your head during that time? So how did it happen?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I can say like, oh, since I was a 5-year-old, I wanted to be a neurologist, but that is definitely not the case. It's kind of, I think it comes to always thinking about what is the best thing for me to do next. So I got into med school and then there's lots of options and I found neurology the most interesting subspecialty. And I think I was between doing like internal medicine and neurology, and I guess neurology was more like, I thought it's like more challenging mentally. I'm not saying internal medicine is not challenging mentally, but that's my opinion. Like I think it is more interesting, so I pursued neurology.
And did you apply just for neurology or you applied for both?
I applied only for neurology. I was definitely thinking about applying to internal medicine, but I decided to apply just in neurology. I did apply to prelim,
Okay.
With the options to like combine with like another program to do neurology. Then so it is. I applied only in neurology. Like,
Okay. So complexity was the driving factor. All right.
yeah.
And once you got into neurology, like I also want to drill down into the aspects of your journey. Like what were your step scores like for anyone who is pursuing it out there, for them to understand what kind of a profile works. So I want to get into your step exams. If any, I know you didn't have any US clinical experience, so we want to learn about that experience, and then how the application process worked out for you, and then how were the interviews, how was the interview preparation. And I remember a few stories that you told me. We need to get this into them as well.
Yeah. So from where do I start? So after I decided, like, after I graduated school, then we have like an internship year. So at that time I was doing my internship year when I decided like, hey, it is time for me to start studying for USMLE step 1. At that time it was like you get a score for the exam, so it very, like you have to study very, very, very hard. And I started studying for the USMLE step 1. At that time I didn't even know like how I'm gonna pay for the exam. So I was like, okay, let's just start. And my brother said like, hey, like I will I'll try to help you. But there was nothing on the table like this is the money you're gonna take the exam with. So I started like studying, but I don't think I did a good job in terms of like knowing how to study at that time, because it's a little different from like studying to mid school. And my perfectionist side, like I wanted to know everything, so it took me a little longer to finish the USMLE step 1. So I think I did like over 1 year. It took me 1 year. I was happy with the score I got. It was a decent score, and then I started studying for USMLE step 2. And I think it was when I was studying like halfway through my studying into step 2, like COVID started. And I was also planning to do like the step 2 CS at that time, which you have to come to the US and do the clinical part of it. So everything like, oh, okay, now COVID, like you cannot get visa, like how are you gonna make it, you know? So I took a break for like 2 years, not 2 years, 2 months. And I was just like not doing much like during that time. I was just thinking about like, oh, what should I do? And they decided to take the, instead of USMLE step 2 CS, they accepted OET exam, which is English exam. So I was like, oh, there's some hope. So I started studying again. And I decided to take both step 2 CK and OET in September.
Okay.
Like late August, early September, and the application cycle started like a month later. So that the schedule was very tight because that 2 months I took off.
Yeah.
Like kind of affected like, you know, like the time, like, you know. So I have to cram everything during that time. And there was no center for prometric in Sudan, so I have to go to Egypt.
Oh,
Um,
that's crazy. So every time you had to take a USMLE step 1, you went to Egypt to give the exam. That's crazy, bro. How far is it?
Yeah. It is 2 hours and a half, like flight. Yeah, some people take the bus, but I was like, that is like you're gonna be very tired by the time you get to take the exam.
That's fair.
Yeah, and that's probably more like a challenge to get to Egypt and financial and all that stuff. But anyway, so my plan is to like go to Egypt once, like also like it's less money to pay, and take both of them together. That was like in September of 2020. And then when I went to Egypt, they said like, hey, you don't have like a polio vaccination card, so you have to get vaccinated. I was like, oh, okay, sure, yeah, I can take the vaccine. It's not a big issue. So I took the vaccine and and then I started studying again. Like my exam was like in a week or so. My plan is to take step 2 first, so to get it out of the way, and then OIT exam. And I started like having fevers.
Okay.
I was like, oh, yeah. And I thought it was like the vaccine, so I was like, oh, okay, I'm just like gonna chill for a day or two. But it didn't go away. So I had to like figure out what's going on. I got tested for COVID, it was negative initially. And then for 5 days I had like fevers. I couldn't figure out what's going on. And then I checked malaria and it was positive for malaria. And so in Egypt they had to quarantine me for like malaria infection because they don't want to start a again they tested me for COVID, so I was also positive for COVID. So it's like a combo, malaria, COVID at the same time. Yeah, so I had to get hospitalized for like 2 days. And at that time, like I didn't like that time, like in September, everyone want to take the exam, so there is not availability for the Prometric Center to kind of accommodate, like to change the, easily. But I figured it out in the end, and I scheduled my step 2 be after the OAT, which was not ideal. But eventually, yes, I take the OAT exam and I took the USMLE step 2 exam, and it was fine in the end. I definitely, my score got a hit compared to my step 1 exam because of all this
I can
stuff.
imagine.
Yeah. I was a little disappointed with the USMLE step 2 score exam. And also the OAT exam also got a hit because I had to ask for a remark. Like I missed the writing score by very little. So I had to ask for a remark and eventually I passed because there was no enough time for me to take the exam again, the OAT exam. So eventually I was able to get both of them and get the result and everything, and I applied. But with all of that, I didn't have, I had to borrow money from friends and all of that, and I didn't also have money for the ESFMG certification.
That's
So
insane, Ahmed.
Yeah.
You lived life on the edge.
Literally on the edge.
Okay.
I didn't have when I applied, I didn't have ESFMG certification. And I was talking to one of my friends here, and he was like, "Oh, I asked him does your program accept without ESFMG exam and etc." He was like, "Why you don't have an ESFMG exam?" I was like, "Because I didn't I just told her that I didn't have the money
to pay for it, yeah?
certificate." Yeah. And she was like, "Oh yeah, just text my other friend. I also know him." So I just told him, and he sent me a picture of his credit card. He was like, "Dude, just get the certificate. It doesn't matter, and pay me later." I think he also, because he asked me for my application and so he kind of believed in me. Hey, this guy seems like he's gonna match, and so he sent me I was able to apply. And at that time it was very emotional for me, and it was 2 a.m. in the morning, and I went to my mom and I was like, "Oh, okay, we got the certificate," and I start crying. But yeah, I applied, and then I got total of 6 interviews, which for someone who didn't have a ACVG certificate for 3 weeks after the cycle, and not having USMLE experience and all of that. So I think it was great. I wasn't expecting 6 interviews at all. I was expecting if I got 2 interviews and I got lucky to match or whatever. And many people, many of my friends didn't apply because it's kind of insane, it's a very big risk not to have a USMLE experience, and with everything going virtual, and it's there's a lot of things and in the air, But I took the risk, and eventually I matched, but it was a crazy journey.
Bro, but
Yeah.
then what were the interviews like? What was your personal statement? What did you write into it? What was your ERA CV application? How did it look like? Please tell us more about it.
Sure, yeah. So, I think what made my application unique, I wasn't scared to make it unique. I sent my application to a few people to review it, and some of them, because it was too, I don't know,
Too personal?
I wasn't scared to I wasn't scared to be unique. And I thought hey, if I had an average application that looks like everyone else, I would not stand out. But with having more unique application, Some people will not like it. Like I'm sure some program director looked at like what this guy is doing. But some of them gonna be like, oh, like this guy is unique. I like him. Let's give him an interview. So one of the things, like my personal statement, like I wasn't shy to include the struggles I went through, like including kind of try to summarize my story,
Yeah.
what I just told you, like in a concise way, and just like make it like kind of not too emotional, but unique. That's one thing I did. And the other thing, I wasn't scared to include my social media stuff. Yeah, I think that also made the application unique. And I don't think like every single interview I went to, everyone asked about my social media because it's like the most interesting thing. I think they remember me from that time. If I was shy from including that, I think no one will probably remember me.
I think that
So,
that's a very important piece of information that you bring forward, that people have to be unique. Like, how will they remember you if you're writing the same things that everyone writes? Like, how will someone know you, and how will people remember you? And that's exactly the thing that people miss out on, because they are too afraid to be that in that vulnerable state, or I don't know what it is, but
yeah,
it stops some
yeah.
people. Yeah. What was
I included in my personal statement that like we have like power outage in Sudan, and when like there's a power outage, I go out and I study under a tree.
That's
Like in
crazy.
110 plus Fahrenheit, like big like weather, stuff like this. That was the truth, and I think many people will be shy to include that. And I was like, no, like that's my journey,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna include it. And some people didn't like it, I'm sure, for sure, but that's my story.
Yeah, that's the truth. And like, whatever the truth is, people may like it or not, but that is what resembles you, and that is what makes you who you are today. So that's insane, bro. And this is why you are the warrior that we needed. You are here. So the next thing that I want to dive into is that how did you prepare for interviews? You were never in an environment of US. You didn't know how people are over here. You didn't know what is going to be expected from you during the interviews. How did you prepare for it? And what else did you speak about during the interviews?
Yeah, preparation for the interview was a challenge, and as crazy as it sounds, I prepared for the interview by recording myself, just like turning on my like video cam and then just record myself saying the things I want to say, like, and expect the questions. And I also I probably read every single like article about like residency interviews and interviews in general, and read it also. So I had like probably like 100 questions like I saved, and I tried to prepare how I respond to that. And I didn't really practice with anyone. I don't know why, but I think like practicing by yourself is also helpful because you get to look at your videos, like how the other person, how you look on the other side. So I think that is very, very, very important. Even if you practice with someone else, try to record that encounter, or try to record yourself like practicing the interviews. That's very important.
So your social media came into handy at that point as well, where you already were into practice.
Probably yes, because like I'm used to like talking to the camera and stuff. Yeah.
So that's crazy. Then now we want to get into the next step. Everything was done, interview went fine, and then comes the match day when you learn about you matching. And then how did your journey pan out after that? How were the next 4 years?
Yeah. So match day, like I was really like I know like getting 6 interviews, like I was on the safer side. Like statistics wise, I think you have like 90% plus chance of matching. So I was kind of like statistically I'm gonna match, but like I was still scared because not having a clinical experience and stuff. And but in the end I matched, and I matched in New York, which was very very exciting for me. And then after that, I had to like struggle to find the visa, to get the visa, and that like got delayed because of COVID, because of being like from Sudan, like it's not easy to get a visa. So I started my residency late in September because of that issue. And then fast forward 4 years, I'm done with the residency. It feels like it takes forever, and I'm sure you can relate. But eventually, like you just take it day by day, and it gonna eventually pass. So I think in my program, I got very good training. So now I'm practicing now, I feel very comfortable with everything. So I think that was a good experience. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, but the thing is that you cut it off too short. Like, how do you think the experience of doing the USMLE and then coming here, staying here for 4 years, training with all these people, how did it shape you? How did it change you as a person?
I think moving here is definitely like there is definitely a different mindset in terms of working here versus like somewhere else. And I think in terms of like my journey as a whole, I think it helped me to realize like I can do anything I want. That's one thing like that I learned from like the past 4 years of doing residency. And also in terms of that, you have to be unique to stand out, not just during the application cycle, but also during residency. That is the two things I think I learned from like the past 4 years. I don't know. Does that answer your questions, or like
In a way, it does. But so one thing is that I understand what you're trying to say. That one thing is it built your confidence, and the
Right.
way that you say that I could do anything, and so that has gone up significantly for sure. But what other aspects? How did it change your approach towards people, to approach towards the patient, approach towards your life in general? What kind of like the house that I see behind you, it's like a fancy ass place. How was it back in Sudan? How did you maintain it? Now how is it? Things like that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I really like feel grateful for my life now. Like back in Sudan, I think I didn't mention this, but like for doing interviews, because where I was living wasn't really suitable for doing even interviews. So I had to go to my friend's house, which is like 1 hour away, like for each
Crazy, bro.
for each interview. Which is, yeah, it sounds like 6 interviews, sure, but each interview they have like 2 or 3 times like you have to show up, like open house, like so it's probably like I went there like 20 times, like the whole cycle. So like when I compare my life now from when I was in Sudan, like I'm so grateful. And I think when you go through very difficult time, both financially and emotionally, like you can appreciate like what you have now, and you can like remember, oh, like this small thing like that bothered me at work today, or this someone who like bothered me on the street or whatever, like it's like when you think about it, it's very, very small to compare to like what you have. So it makes you like very, very grateful to your life, and makes you, I feel like it makes, at least for me, it makes me very chill about everything that goes in day-to-day life. And like, oh, like I don't have to stress about this small thing. I can, oh, this is totally okay if something went like wrong or like didn't go as planned. It's okay. And the other thing, I think I'm very, like my mindset is always trying to do the best possible thing next. And sometimes I have to like step back and be like, oh, like I need to chill a little bit, you know. I have to take care of myself, like chill, relax, stuff like this. And I remember like, hey, like I dreamed about doing this, and I was able to this is my dream, what I dreamed about of doing, and I was able to achieve it. So I don't have to push myself that hard. I can be more like chill and relax and do what I love, because I already achieved what I need to achieve. That's my mindset right now. It may change in the future, but kind of like trying to take it slower.
Okay.
I feel like that's my approach. It doesn't sound very inspiring, but I think at some point, like you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
completely fair. But
Yeah.
so that is really insightful on the way you look at things. Now, I don't know, but I really am very curious about your medical school and how was it in your high school? Like, what were you doing when you were young? What was your routine like? Like, what about those friends that you have? What are they doing right now? Do you still speak to them and things like that? I really want to know about those things. If you are comfortable to speak about that.
Sure, yeah. I mean, in terms of like high school wasn't like, I mean, maybe I'm forgetting, like it's been like many years, but I feel like it wasn't that eventful. I don't know. It was like just a period of my life. I don't think about it much now. But the system in Sudan from high school to you go direct to med school. So when I started med school, I was 17-year old. So it's you have to make that decision very early. And I still have like friends from my school, a couple of friends I still connect with. I have one of my friends in Ireland. One of my friends is like in Canada. I'm in touch with them frequently. And a couple of other friends as well. And it's the system in Sudan is definitely different from here. Like the med school is like 6 years, different from med school to med school, but it could be 5 or 6 years. And like the first few years you do like more of like a basic science. Like in our med school we did like 1 semester of like biology, chemistry, which is here is like kind of like in the US is kind of this is like the 4 years they do like pre-med. But we do it like in 1 semester, dissecting frogs and all of that.
But tell me some crazy stories from your medical school. I really want to know that.
Crazy stories from med school. I don't know if I have any crazy stories. I probably cannot think of anything now. No, I can't think of any crazy stories. Maybe at the end of I can remember something, but it was chill. Like med school was chill.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. You are an trending now. And then I wanted to ask the next question would be that it's just 3 months out of your residency, so it's not been a long time. But what are you thinking about your direction for social media at this point? Like, what is your game plan? How are you planning it to grow? And how do you see yourself using it? Or what can you make out of it at this point?
Yeah, I think my goal with social media is to make it fun and enjoyable to make videos. And at this moment, I don't really have a solid plan to kind of push for it to be like business and be like a way to generate like revenue or stuff like this. So I'm not really focusing on that at this point. I'm just focusing at making the best, like the funniest like videos I can make. And I think the most difficult part about it is that the coming up with the ideas, like if you didn't put effort into it, it kind of like it will not stand out. And compared to what I usually see in social media, usually people tend to do more quantity. It's definitely the smartest move to be able to scale it up and get more eyeballs and all of that. But my mindset is try to make the best possible video as I can make, and is people enjoy it. Like 25,000 people like enjoyed my content, and they decided to follow me. So I think there's something going on there. So I'm trying to build on that and make the videos that people enjoy watching, and also what I enjoy making. And I still I use my phone to record. I tried using I have a fancy camera like I tried using, but it's a lot of work. So I just use my phone, and the quality being good. So I'm just trying to try to post like a video every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, and just take it slow and make it funny, high quality videos. Yeah.
That's interesting. And now getting into the main part, how is neurology outpatient job going on for you? How is it different from residency? How many patients do you see? Can you tell us something about that? And at the end, I
Yeah.
would want to end it with how much money you make.
That's yeah. I will see if we're gonna reveal that. You have to stick for the end of the videos. We're not gonna reveal it now. So I'm doing. So just stepping back, I initially thought I want to do inpatient neurology. I think that is what most residency programs focus on, and most people get like a lot of exposure for inpatient neurology. And I think you can relate. So that's what I thought I was gonna do, like be a neuro hospitalist. And I looked around, and but in the end I decided to switch to outpatients. And the job I got now is purely outpatient. I can do inpatient if I want to, but it's not obligatory. So I'm doing my schedule is very nice. Like I do 4 days of outpatient, and I got 3 days off, 3 days weekend, which is very luxurious.
Of course.
So it's been a month since I start my new job. I'm very happy with my new job. The staff are really nice, very supportive. And when you practice in private practice, you get a lot of support staff, and they are really good at their job. And they've been in this hospital for some of them been here in 15 years, so they know all the ins and out of it. And so if you have any question, you just ask them. And I also started with like a lower volume patients because like they want me to get used to the clinic like workflow and all of that. So it's been nice, and I enjoy working there. And the expectation now is to start with like 7 patients and then ramp it up to like 9 new patients. And eventually, like once I start having follow-ups gonna be quicker. So probably like seeing more patients in the future, but like we just taking it slow. And it's been fun. I think there's a difference between practicing, and I'm sure you're curious and everyone is curious about what is the difference between practicing as an attending and as a resident. And I think the big difference is that for me is like autonomy, like you get to decide, like actually decide like what you need to do. It can be scary. Like you are the one responsible, and if you messed up, no one, you have to take responsibility for that.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I enjoy autonomy. I enjoy the autonomy of being able to practice independently, and it makes it more of like a challenge, especially like where I'm practicing. I live in a big one of the the biggest city in Wisconsin. That's where I'm living now, but the hospital I work on is kind of like 30 minutes away, so that's my commute. So it's like in a smaller city outside the big city. And like the community there is like the patient populations are very nice, and they really appreciate the service you provide to them. And it's you get to see like challenging cases, and there is not many subspecialists around. And if you wanna refer someone, you have to refer them to the bigger city. So it kind of pushes you to like kind of think and not just like, oh, like go to see an epilepsy specialist or go and see a neuromuscular specialist. The decision is not that, like patients also don't want to go like to the bigger city. They want to get their care in the hospital, like in their community. So it definitely pushes you to like learn and think and challenge and work with the patient actually, like, hey, like this is your case is not straightforward. We have to think about it, and in case we couldn't figure it out, we can send you to the bigger center. But it's a challenge, and I enjoy it. It sounds stressful, especially when you are a resident, but I enjoy like thinking about the challenging cases. So there's a lot of fun stuff you do as a attending, like practicing independently compared to as a resident.
And are you responsible for all the procedures over there as well?
You can do whatever you want to do. It just has to it has to be like a procedure you're comfortable doing, and also for your program director from your residency to approve that, hey, this guy he's like trained to do this procedure. For example, Botox injections, like I'm gonna be doing Botox, and if you wanna do like sleep study, they probably can figure it out and you can do it, but you know you have to have the training to do that. So it's whatever you want, like especially in private practice, whatever you wanna do, they are happy to help you to figure it out. Yeah.
That's an interesting way to see.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they're open. So that's crazy. Now,
Yeah.
what kind of job opportunities are there post neurology? And like, we don't want to get into your payment, but what is the ballpark amount that people get usually? Like, what kind of job offers do you have?
So it depends on where you want to practice. If you want to practice in the bigger cities like New York City, if you want to practice in LA, if you want to practice like in Miami, like the big cities, the offers compared to where you get outside is not that great, especially like putting on the perspective of like the cost of living. So I will just give you an example. I think in New York City, you can definitely find like job that 300 plus, even probably 400, but 400,000 like a year. But you can, I saw like an offer for like 190,000 a year with one of the hospital in New York City. So comparing the cost of living, this offer doesn't make sense at all, right? But like the, but
It's extremely expensive. That's fair.
right, yeah, like that is like just double the resident salary. It doesn't make sense at all. So you definitely can see those offers, and I don't know who takes those offers. But you can probably get like 250 to 300. Like that's probably like the area in New York City is probably the. I don't have the exact statistic, but that's my sense about like what is the in private. If it's private clinic, probably you can get 300 plus. And like if you went to other areas like the Midwest, for example, gonna get better offers. Even in like bigger center, you can get 300 plus easily. And the range is probably 300 to 400, like in the Midwest in terms of like outpatient. Probably inpatient is a little higher. You probably go to 400 plus. You can find offer 400 plus, but you also have to work harder and be on call and all of that. So it's what you wanna get. And I think the other thing is that with private practice you can make as much money as you want. Like I'm sure like there's people out there here who like practice, like there's a system, maybe not all of our audience gonna be familiar with this system, but it's like the RVU system. So the more patients you see, the more you're gonna get paid, and also you need to know how to like put the system into your advantage in terms of how to bill for the visits and all of that. So you can definitely maximize your revenue and probably like hit 400 plus easily if you want to. It's just it depends on how hard you wanna work. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Going from a schedule of working 6 days, 7 days a week, going into 4 days a week. What are you doing on weekends, bro?
Honestly, yeah, going back is like I'm just chilling. Honestly, like the having 3 days off is so nice. Like especially like on Thursday, be like, oh, I have 3 days off, and then by Friday night I was like, the weekend didn't even start, you know. So I'm just chilling, like exploring the area, and just doing whatever I decide to do. And I think there is a possibility, like for 3 days you can like go for a small trip, or you can go like wherever you want. Like so, it's very nice, and I think it is very similar to like days like with inpatient neurology. You can do like 7 days on, 7 days off. And it's very similar. Like you basically doing like if you calculate like the amount of days you are off in the whole year is very similar. Maybe like 20 days like difference in terms of like if you did 7 days on, 7 days off. If you did 7 days on, 7 days off, you probably get like 20 more days off, but it's very similar. So I'm very happy with like having the 3 days off.
Yeah, of course.
And you should definitely come and visit like on one of these weekends. Like if you have like a golden weekend or so, like in the future, we can definitely have fun here.
Yeah, I'm going to be there at some point, probably in the summer, because winter in Wisconsin would be too rough. But
Yeah.
as the spring opens up, and you are going to be there for at least 3 years. So also the contract is like for 3 years, right? Once you're done.
Yeah, it depends. It depends. I think Wisconsin here they ask for the hospital. Maybe that's what they told me. I don't know. That like the contract had to be 3 years if you are doing like if you are on a visa. Yeah. Maybe we can talk about that like the finding jobs and stuff like in a future podcast. I feel like, but yeah, like if you're doing a waiver, they ask for 3 years, which is
So
good.
this is the
Yeah.
job. Okay. So this is
Yeah.
really interesting. And before we close this conversation, I wanted to basically ask you for tips that you would give for people from Sudan, from all over the world, that what can they do to make it, basically.
Yeah. I think the most important advice, and I see this mistake people do a lot, is that you have to stick to one plan. Like you cannot be jumping from one plan to another. And I think the difference between people who make it and people who don't make it, some people get unlucky and they, for some reason, they cannot make it. But most people who were not able to make it, they didn't stick with the plan. And I see people like, oh, I start studying for USMLE step 1 for 2 months, and then they give up, and then they do something else, and then they come back, and you're just wasting your time. So if you wanna decide to do USMLE, you have to just stick with it. It's like a full-time job, like doing, maybe step 1 now is like pass-fail is easier a little bit, but it's a full-time job. Like you should basically stop everything you're doing and just focus on studying. And once you do the USMLE step 1 and step 2 and you are done with your exam, then you can kind of like do whatever you want to do. But if you decide, you have to just do it. If you don't want to stick with this plan, there's other options, and I think that's better than jumping from like one plan to another. Like, oh, I want to do USMLE, and then like, oh, I want to do UK, or I want to stay in Sudan. Like, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
Like, it's not possible. Yeah, yeah. That's the most important advice. And the other thing is that I know like a lot of people got affected by the visa issues that recently. So my advice for those people is that if you only want to be in the US, probably they're gonna be changing in the future, but you have to take that risk. If you doing your exams now and you cannot get a visa now, maybe in the future you're gonna open, and if you did your USMLE exam and you are able to finish it and then pursue other option after you finish the exam, that's an option. Or you can just pursue other options, and in the future, if you wanna come back to the USMLE and the opportunity came up, you can do that. But it is now it is more challenging, for sure, for certain countries, including Sudan. But you know, like there's still other options. There's Australia, there's UK, there's Ireland. There's like you can try those options.
Yeah. But my learning from this conversation would be that one is that what you mentioned, that stick to your plan and make a decision, make up your mind, which is extremely crucial. And the second thing is don't hide away from who you are. And
You're right.
whatever you have, which is unique, you have to put that on the forefront during your application and throughout, because hiding away from it, I don't think you are going to do a good job hiding away from it.
Right. And also I think it is it's sometimes difficult to kind of like think, oh, this is interesting, because that is your reality, right? Like,
Yeah.
If you did your USMLE exam studying under a tree, like you think it's that, oh, that's just the reality. No one interested in that. But when you write it in your personal statement, everyone asks you about it. It's like, oh, okay, like this is actually interesting. So I get like a lot of some people send me their personal statements, and I was like, no, I know you did that thing, like, or that happened to you. Like, why didn't you include it in your personal statement? I was like, oh, I didn't think that was interesting. Like, no, it is interesting, and you have to include it. So you have to sometimes like, hey, like think about like perspective, like get out of, you know, your reality and think about from the other perspective. So that's one tip that I think is gonna be helpful.
And Dr. Siddig is also available on a lot of platforms like LinkedIn and wherever. So please feel free to reach out to him. He's gonna help you in whatever way possible. And he has
sure.
helped me a lot during this time that I'm going through, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think we didn't like get to say like how did we meet and how did.
Oh yeah. So that is an interesting story. So I was doing a rotation. I was basically doing MPH at SUNY, and during my MPH, I found an opportunity to do research with one of the residents. And because of her, she helped me meet all the residents and the attendings, and they helped me be on the rotation with them. So I was someone who was rotating since 1.5 months. I was doing it every week.
Yeah.
Now residents usually are there only for a week. So every week
Right.
new residents would come up. So the most of the time I worked with, I think your senior batch, I think I worked with all of them. And their rotations were at SUNY were done and you guys were starting. I think first week was with Jonathan. And the next week was with you. And then you can say whatever story, how it moves forward.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's I kind of like we met like not in like a formal way. We just like kind of like start talking, and I was like, yeah, we got to know each other, which was definitely fun. And then you matched in our program after that, and then we worked for like a couple of rotation. Maybe did we work once? I think. We worked twice. We worked in the psychiatry rotation, and then we worked in the stroke rotation.
Yeah.
Was definitely fun, and since that time we've been friends. So I think your story is also like you know, like building connections with everyone, and you're very outgoing. So I think that is like, I think that's very important to be like, you know, like to put yourself out there. It definitely helps.
Yeah, it helps a lot. That is the only thing which changed my fortunes from first year of not matching and then matching. But I was not like this. I had to do it.
Push yourself, right? Yeah, I'm kind of the same. Yeah, but you know, you learn as you once you learn the hard way sometimes.
So one of my attendings, he used to tell me that you know what is the mother of invention? It's necessity. Do you know who is the father?
Right.
Desperation. So that's where we are, and we would like to end.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, like it kind of like the same for me. Like I didn't have a plan B. Like I didn't know. Like if I didn't match and I borrowed all this money for the application and all of that, I didn't know what to do. Like I was just like, you know, I'm screwed. So like if you don't have a plan B, sometimes it's helpful, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like the same. Your mindset is like, oh, like I'm just gonna go for it and just try.
And now whatever consequences I will face, I'm going to face. We will see.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but no regrets in the end. I feel like.
Yeah.
Like you always regret not doing, but usually you don't regret like doing something.
That's fair. That's true.
For the most part.
Sometimes you regret, but that's later. But it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a fun journey. I think I always say this, that it's a lot about character development. Like the journey is such that you see different aspects of yourself growing. It's not just about studying or looking at the books. It's about a lot of things which go on around you all the time.
Yeah. Right.
It's
amazing. It's crazy. Yeah.
But we end this on a good note. Dr. Siddig, thank you so much for being here. It was a great conversation. I hope everyone gets to learn something from this experience, and your journey has been an inspiration. I'm going to write a nice tag to it. I'm going to send it later, but thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you, Aditya. It's a pleasure to talk to you and catch up and everything.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Yeah.